So Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 17 just dropped, and we now have the beginning of this new arc. This chapter marks the opening of this new arc in the Land of Wind. And this chapter is very interesting with a lot of things to break down, not only regarding the people in the Land of Sand, but we learn a lot of information about the Shinju. So let's just get right into the chapter. The title of this chapter is Wild Beast Cubs. And the cover is arguably like one of my favorite covers. Like, I'd say that this is the best cover that we've had, if only it wasn't just these two guys. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the way they look or anything, but imagine if it was another character like Boruto, Kawaki, Jira, somebody with aura who could actually do something in the series, then this chapter cover would have been even more tough. So I enjoyed the chapter cover, but it would have been even better if we got the likes of this background with characters that are actually strong. Just looking at the cover, we can see exactly their design, and one cool thing that I did notice is the fact that the guy's belt is literally the sand symbol. The belt is the sand symbol. I thought it was pretty cool to see that the sand guys have their own little drip. I keep forgetting who exactly is Yaro and who is Ayara, so I won't even try and guess who it is. But I really like this cover. I think the cover is a 10 out of 10, to be honest. Like, it's perfect. I have literally nothing bad to say about it. And I really like what Ikimoto cooked up here. But the chapter begins exactly where it left off. We are still going back to the altercation that Sumire and Sarada had, as it is still clearly weighing on Sarada. We have a Sarada who's reflecting on the conversation she had with Sumire, dealing with the fact that she has to be aware of Boruto's feelings when it comes to them not being too involved, but she also has to be aware of Sumire's own feelings for Boruto, where Sumire feels like she has neglected when she went to go hug Boruto. Mitsuki is clearly being able to notice that Sarada is not really there, she's not really so focused, and it seems like it is bothering him. Then we end up going to Matsuri and Ryu, who end up fighting one of the frogs that Boruto ended up leaving there. Matsuri says that according to the trees, Boruto himself placed the frog here, so he is definitely here. And this is something quite interesting that we see when it comes to Moegi. In this chapter, we get a lot of understanding of who Moegi is and her role in the story, as she is a sensory type ninja, as Moegi was most likely a sensory type ninja, and we did see her use a lot of sensory abilities. So with Matsuri, it has literally translated onto her role and her abilities, as she is able to use trees not only on land but underground to end up getting information on people who were here, and basically the trees tell her what exactly is happening, which is quite interesting to see. Some people theorize that it is because of the wood style, she is able to use wood styles, so it does make sense that she should be able to talk to the trees, but others say that it is almost like Black Zetsu was able to know everything that was going on using the trees. We have the squad above Konoha Shinobi and the guys from the Land of Sand who are discussing exactly what they're going to do. They're discussing the fact that these guys are also looking for Boruto, which is part of the plan. They're going to be acting like they're all looking for Boruto, thus it would be perfect for them to end up working together. Konohama is making sure that everybody is focused and ready for this new mission, with everybody kind of looking at Sarada because she seems out of it, and she says, "I'll promise that I'll focus." And Konohama is giving them insight on the torn soul, the torn bulb that they ended up discovering through the death of Hidari, with them asking if it's actually going to be able to bring back Shinki. And Konohama confirms that based on their intel, this is going to happen. And we have Ayara who ends up telling Yado to be careful and to make sure that she doesn't overdo it. And they basically have a bit of a beef with them, saying that it is usual and it won't affect the mission, but clearly Sarada is really out of it. In almost every panel, we can see that she is sweating. But Konohama basically asks everybody if they remember what they have to do. Mitsuki really doesn't think that it's going to work, so at least we have one person who is going to be on guard and making sure everything goes right. But Konohama says that it's already basically too late and we have to get on with this plan. Konohamaru makes the first step by approaching the Shinju, by approaching Ryu and Matsuri, with a Matsuri who now acts a little bit flustered and basically tells Ryu to handle the conversation. Konohamaru introduces himself and says that he has been following Boruto's trail, the Rebel, Boruto the Rebel. That's another nickname that Boruto now has. And we literally have a panel of Matsuri blushing with a Ryu who literally says that, whoa, what's going on? Like, why can't you talk? Something feels kind of off with your behavior. And Matsuri just tells him to carry the conversation because she feels a little bit off at the moment. Then we have a little bit of a flashback discussing the mission to hunt down the divine trees and collect their torn soul bulb. We get to see a panel of how the torn soul bulb could exactly come to help those who have been turned into a tree, and it appears like what they have to do is grab onto the torn soul bulb, use the bottom part of it and stick it almost near the heart area of the person who has been turned into a tree. And Shikamaru says that this is the intel that he has received. Matsuri's torn bulb has to be restored to Moegi and Ryu's to Shinki for them to be able to come back to life. So if they fail to take the torn soul bulb, then it basically means that they are going to be able to come back to life over and over again. So it basically is useless in defeating them. This is what happened to Hidari, as although Boruto and Sarada, with the help of Kawaki, did end up defeating Hidari, but his torn soul bulb was never connected. Thus, Hidari has now come back to life. Konohamaru wonders and questions Shikamaru on how he was able to get this information. However, Shikamaru tells Konohamaru not to worry about it and that he is not allowed to reveal this information to Konohamaru. I don't know if Konohamaru is going to be one of those guys who are starting to grow suspicious of Shikamaru, especially how he is able to get this intel. A lot of people have been questioning this. We have the likes of Ino, who has grown a little bit suspicious of Shikamaru's behavior and even refused to help Shikamaru when he asked for help. We now have Konohamaru, who's really wondering exactly what's going on and how Shikamaru was able to get this intel. Kawaki did also wonder how Boruto was able to escape and know that Kawaki was on his way. A lot of people are starting to grow a little bit suspicious of what Shikamaru is doing. I don't know if this is death flags necessarily, but we'll just have to wait and see. But this isn't the only thing that Shikamaru and Konohamaru end up discussing, as this is where they end up discussing the true plan of this mission. What exactly are they going to do to defeat Matsuri and Ryu and end up collecting their torn soul bulb? And this is where Shikamaru gives his own analysis and take on the Shinju. He says that the divine trees are monsters possessing combat abilities, and they each have a target, such as you and Sarada, who they seek to devour. So naturally, they have to end up confronting them so that they can end up getting their torn soul bulb and save the people they love. However, their antagonistic relationship is relative. There is no conclusive evidence that the divine trees / the Shinjus are intrinsically evil. This is what Shikamaru ends up saying regarding the Shinju. So he doesn't think the Shinju are evil, and this is clearly seen by the fact that we literally have the likes of Juro, who multiple times did not want to destroy Team 10 and simply just wanted Himawari, repeatedly telling them that them getting into the way is making him have to do these actions that he really wouldn't want to do. So this is something that we're already starting to see with the Shinju, that they are not naturally evil, but if you go into their way, they will do anything to get you out of it, even if it means killing them. And this is why Shikamaru says they seem similar to newly born offsprings of wild beasts. And this is where we have the name drop of the title of the chapter, Wild Beast Cubs. And he says that they are not intrinsically evil for the time being, they are merely animals that react on instinct, but because they possess dangerous strength, a great threat to humans. And that's why they actually have to be defeated, not only because we want to bring back the people that they like, but at the current moment they are acting off instinct. They are not naturally evil, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't be evil. So while they are not committing evil acts, it is best to get rid of any threats. And this is why Shikamaru wants Konohamaru to become friends with them, to win them over and tame the beasts like innocent cublings, and then betray them. This is very interesting, and this is a Shikamaru-like plan, and he does literally admit that Naruto wouldn't really go down this option. Naruto as a Hokage would never do something like that. Naruto would either genuinely try to be friends and not see them as monsters, because this is almost like how they viewed Naruto as a monster who had enormous amount of powers, but he was a child, so he was immature. So it's really dangerous that a guy like Naruto had that type of power. And it's almost a similar situation with the Shinju, who are not intrinsically evil necessarily, but have great amounts of power, which causes people to fear them. But with the Shinju also, they do want to devour people, so it does make a lot of sense that the Leaf wants to get rid of them. However, would Naruto really go down this plan? I really doubt it. He would really try and come to a compromise, try to understand these people, and generally win them over. However, Shikamaru doesn't believe that that would actually end up working, so he wants to befriend them and then later on come to betray them. Let's really hope this ends up working, because if it doesn't, I really don't know what will happen next, and I don't think it would be good in Konoha's favor. Now, we have a Konohamaru who ends up introducing himself to Ryu and Matsuri, saying that I am comrades with Konohamaru, these two are Sarada and Mitsuki, and for those who are wondering why Yara and Yado are not there, it's simply due to the fact that Matsuri, Yara, and Yado before, so if they ended up popping up together, then it would literally tell Matsuri that hold on, wait, these guys are working together, and they are trying to free Shinki, thus their intentions are not good, so the plan would eventually end up failing. What's going to happen is that Konohamaru is going to be able to split them up, and then later on, with the help of Ayara and Yado, Mitsuki and Sarada will hope to defeat Ryu. And this is exactly what ends up happening, as due to the fact that Matsuri is kinda shy due to Konohamaru being there, he is the one who ends up introducing the Shinju to them. He says, my name is Ryu and this is Matsuri, but she is kinda off. This is where they both say that they are looking for Boruto, so it would be good for them to end up joining forces. Matsuri says yes, this is okay, and they end up looking at the frog. Mitsuki ends up finding a piece of metal and concludes that that is what Boruto uses for his teleportation. This is where Konohamaru ends up suggesting that everybody should split up, meaning that they go into two groups, Konohamaru and Matsuri, and the rest end up going on a different one. This ends up happening with a Matsuri who literally agrees to this being the case and says that she has trouble breathing when Konohamaru is looking at her. Ryu, Sarada, and Mitsuki go their own way, while Konohamaru ends up reassuring Ryu that Matsuri and him are gonna be all good. Ryu is quite happy that he is able to have this conversation with these ninjas, and he says that Jira literally told them that the ninjas are pretty cool guys, and at first he was planning on killing them, but now he thinks that they are really cool, and he says that Jira has a lot of respect for the guys in Konoha, for the Konoha shinobi. But this is very interesting to me, seeing this happen and knowing that the plan altogether is for them to end up betraying the Shinju. What will happen when Jira finds out about what these Leaf Shinobi did? The Leaf Shinobis that he so-called respects a lot. Will this attitude change? Will he no longer value the village? This is going to be an interesting scenario that could end up taking place. We end up going back to another flashback between Shikamaru and Konohamaru, who is talking about the feelings that Matsuri, the person who is targeting him, bears towards him, which is a romantic feeling. And Shikamaru urges Konohamaru to utilize that feeling to end up backstabbing Matsuri. Due to that, he will have a favorable edge. Konohamaru is a bit relentless, but Shikamaru asks him to be heartless. And we see with Shikamaru that he is almost acting in the way that shinobis are intended to be tools that are used by basically the government or be used by hierarchy above them, but they're not supposed to be creatures with health and rely on their emotions. They're simply there to get their mission done. And this is very interesting to see how Shikamaru operates and the differences between him and Naruto. Konohamaru and Matsuri end up having some alone time and they sit down for a second, with Konohamaru making sure that Matsuri is okay. Matsuri says that she is usually not like this, but Konohamaru says that he doesn't mind and doesn't find it weird. This is where we have a short conversation between Kashin Koji and Ida, with the Kashin Koji who asks Ida to check on what is going on in the Land of Sand. Ida is wondering if we're going to have the inclusion of Bug there because she is kind of afraid of Bug, but Kashin Koji reassures her by saying that he is not in the Land of Sand. He is still in the dimension with the other Shinju. We have a good panel of Kashin Koji and Boruto chilling, and Boruto is wondering what is happening, with a Kashin Koji who reassures him, saying that everything is going well. Konohamaru has been occupying Matsuri, and Sarada and Mitsuki have been able to split Ryu and Matsuri up and go down their other line. And this is where Boruto asks the real important question: what's the chance of them to fail, percentage wise? And Kashin Koji says that it is not that high, but Boruto presses him on a little further, and he says, don't lie to me, I asked you for a number. And he says, either way, you're not going to go, Boruto. And this is quite interesting to me, because is this a potential death flag for the likes of Mitsuki, Sarada, and those other guys? Because Kashin Koji could genuinely be lying when he is saying that the chance of them failing is high or low. Is Kashin Koji manipulating everything going on right now to awaken a future where Boruto potentially rages and has a lot of power due to the fact that he loses somebody? Or is he simply telling the truth to Boruto that the percentage is not that high that they will fail, however there is still a percentage that they end up failing, and he really wants Boruto not to go out? As he does say that just like Himawari, if Boruto is to leave, he will end up dying, and he is the one thing that we cannot lose. And that is very interesting to me, because if you do check the current narrative, you would see that that's generally not the case. Boruto could end up dying because Boruto is not going to be fed to the Senjus, due to the fact that Jira literally says that Kawaki is good enough for father, but you, I need to kill you. So he's just going to simply kill Boruto. So what is it about Boruto compared to Kawaki that does make him seem like the last line for the village? That I truly don't know at the current moment. But speaking of Jira ends up making an appearance in this chapter, just like we saw in the sneak peek where he came to get books. Shikamaru is notified of everything that is going on, but tells them to act like normal and not to do anything out of the ordinary. Don't even evacuate the citizens. We have a Jira who comes on with a stack of money, throws it down with his books, and says that, yo, you can keep the change, and this is basically an advance on my future purchases because I will be here another time, just confirming how much he loves books. And then we go back to a Kawaki, and now Kawaki fans rejoice because your time has come. We have a Kawaki who in typical fashion is quite disrespectful. We had an Amato who was just about to smoke a cig, and then before he's even able to light up his cig, Kawaki ends up taking it out of his mouth. Pause. And he basically tells Amato that the time has come. He says, first, I need you to draw out all of my power to the full extent. And then we have a lot to be talking about, with a Amato who knew that this moment would end up coming, and there is nothing he can do to stop it. And this is where the chapter ends off, with Kawaki most likely getting his limiters removed in the next chapter. So this chapter is very interesting to me. In my personal opinion, this chapter is cool, a cool 7 out of 10 to me, nothing too crazy, a good opening to the arc in my opinion. But the next few chapters from now on, it just seems like everything is going to be going crazier. Kawaki and Amato, Sarada potentially doing something crazy against Ryu, with the betrayal of the Senju. How is that going to happen? How is that going to affect Jira's take on the Leaf Shinobis? A lot of these answers are going to be answered in the next few chapters, or in the theory videos that I end up making. But nevertheless, you guys let me know your thoughts, comments, and concerns in the comment section below. It's been your boy Dynasty, and I'm out, bruh.